Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the GC Initial LISI webinar. My name is Brian Perkin, and I'll be hosting this evening's webinar. I'm a qualified dental technician registered in South Africa with over 20 years industry experience and have been with Bright Mills for the past 5 years. Excuse me. Alongside Henry and Harleen Riley in Cape Town, we head up the lab division. So if there's any questions or anything you would like to ask us after the webinar and out in the public after, as of tomorrow, please get hold of myself and Henry, as well as Harleen. First and foremost, I would like to thank you guys, fellow dental technicians and delegates who have taken your time to schedule, out of your schedule to attend this evening's webinar. It's much appreciated. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude and thanks to GC UK, in particular, John Maloney, as well as Terry Craylan. At this point, I briefly need to run through a couple of housekeeping issues before I welcome Bob and Mike onto the podium. There will be a couple of question and answer sessions during the webinar, as well as one at the end of the webinar. Please, in the little tab on the right of your screen, write your questions, and during the webinar, Bob and Michael will answer those for you. There's also a chat section. Please feel free to make use of the chat section. After the final Q&A session at the end of the webinar, I will run through a couple of amazing deals that GC Initial UK have offered to the South African marketplace. While I've got you guys, let me tell you about the webinar that's taking place next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Bob will be presenting a webinar on the Gradia Plus, utilizing the flask technique. Hope to see you there as well. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our two GC key opinion leaders. Firstly, and in no particular order, let me introduce Michael Lazarevic. Michael is a born and bred South African hailing out of the town of Somerset West near Cape Town. Michael graduated with a BTech degree in 2001. After qualifying, Mike pursued his career as a dental technician in London, where he opened up a specialist crown and bridge dental lab from 2001 to 2006. When Michael returned to South Africa in 2006, he took up a position as a specialist dental ceramist alongside Guido Dingemans at Ceramident Dental Laboratory in Somerset West. Recently, Michael took over the reins from Guido and is now the proud owner of the aforementioned dental lab. Right, Mr. Bob Elst. Bob is no stranger to the shores of South Africa. Bob was here in 2018 when he presented and lectured in Durban, Johannesburg, as well as Cape Town, sold-out events. Bob hails from the city of Antwerp in Belgium. Bob qualified as a dental technician in 1991. From the start of his career, Bob has produced and delivered only the highest quality work, combined with strong personal service. These are the core values that Bob has adopted throughout his career and in his own dental laboratory. Throughout Bob's career, Bob has participated as both a lecturer and participant in well over 40 master dental technology courses. Evidently, Bob values the concept of lifelong learning very highly. In 2007, Bob won the third prize worldwide in the Young Ceramics category at the Nobel Biocare World Tour in Las Vegas. Over the past few years, Bob has grown his passion for mentorship, as we experienced and witnessed when Bob was in South Africa a few years back. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. I hereby hand over to Bob and Michael. Enjoy.
Thanks, Brian. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
It's a real pleasure to be involved with tonight's event. As a technician, it's rather a new concept to us all. So without further ado, guys, this is it's a great privilege to have Bob here. His CV speaks for himself, and thank you, Brian, for welcoming Bob. I would like to extend a word of welcome to our shores and hand it over to Bob. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this webinar. Bob is a beautiful guy, and he is a fantastic technician. So we can all look forward to hearing what Bob's got to say. Without further ado, hand it over to Bob.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael and Brian. It's a privilege to do this. I hope everybody can hear me. A few weeks ago, I had a phone call from Henry. We know each other from my last tour in South Africa and also my first tour in South Africa. And then we came up with the idea of doing a webinar. And Brian and Henry asked me, yeah, but what do you want for this webinar? And I really found that the polos from Milners and Wright really nice. So they sent me one. And I have a free ginger beer in Gilmore in Joburg the next time I will come to Joburg. So thank you so much for everybody. I will start my presentation. This presentation is not a manual presentation, okay? It's my personal workflow. If you want to have a presentation of the manual, we can do that also. We can also give you the manual. And we have the Get Connected app of GC, where you can find everything that's related to our products or the workflow of everything. So that's more easy. So I will start sharing my screen and presentation like this. There will be moments we can have some questions and answers, and you can also type everything, and my partner in crime today, Michael, he will write everything down and we will come back to you. So like Brian said, I'm Bob Elst. I live in Belgium. It's a very small land near Paris. Sometimes they don't know where Belgium is, but they know where Paris is. And I'm born in 71, still looking young and beautiful. I still have my own firm. It's Econ. I give aesthetic consultants and I do some aesthetic works. And I'm a technical trainer and lecturer for GC Benelux. For me, it's really important that we understand and that we know that we are working for the patients. Okay, we all know that dentists are the most beautiful persons in the world. But when we can give our patients a smile and confidence, then I think we did a good job. And also Albert Einstein knew that our happiness depends on the smile of the other. There are some friends in South Africa, and I want to really stand out, and please, all unattended children will be given a free espresso and a free puppy. After this presentation, you have to contact Brian for that, and so if your son is giving you some difficulties, you will have a puppy the next morning. Our first patient, our first work, it's zirconium work, upper and lower, and our patient is a doctor of the Ghent University Clinic. So, of course, a very important patient, but all patients are important. And he had severe wear of his upper and lower teeth. Like you see, he lost more than half of it. And also the gingival line was not okay. We had to do gingivectomy. We had to do some bone issues to get the right thing done. So you see, this was his smile. And that's not the smile that you want, because 62, it's still young. I'm getting 50 next year, so for me, 62 is still young. So how did we do it? I did a digital smile design with Exocat. We are working with the Plovdiv setup. That's the latest Exocat. And I really found the Jan Haito anteriors, and that's called the ZRS types dental library in Exocat. So if you want to do a setup or a print and you want to have the right surface structure and really nice morphology, look out for the ZRS library of Jan Haito. Some do like Jan. I like Jan Haito a lot. There are different teeth already in the library. You also have some other guys, but Jan Haito and his anterior book, for me, that's a small Bible. We used the Asiga printers and we did the tryout with the GC Print Lite. So we did the study, and after that study, we did the print of the provisionals. After setting the provisionals, we did some pictures to look if everything was okay. Of course, the first time we did not do the provisionals, but we did shelves. So we printed some shelves, and then we put it on the patient, and he could see it, and he could take it home to talk with his partner if it was okay, smile line okay, in the bathroom, you know, in the dental office, it's a little bit awkward sometimes for the patient. That's why we give always the shells with the patients to be confident at their own home and to have some time to think about. And then when they say, okay, then we take the same study, we will make from the shell a provisional, so that just a snap on the bottom, and then the provisionals come out, and then we can make them a little bit more lifelike with OptiGlaze color. You see that the anteriors here are painted with OptiGlaze color, and OptiGlaze color, it's a nano-filled composite. So if you have in your office some temps that have to be in the mouth for, let's say, half a year with new implant work, direct loading, etc., it's really nice to have the combination with the printed provisional and paint it on with OptiGlaze color. OptiGlaze color has A, B, and C color, the bone color, and then we have several white, blue, gray, yellowish, pink, all different colors. But I'm sure your sales rep will give you some more updates of the OptiGlaze. But because it's nano-filled, that means that it doesn't wear as fast as the other ones. So the combination with temp print and the OptiGlaze color is really for a long-term provisional. This work took us one year and 2 months. Okay, why was that? Because first we did the study. After the study, we did the gingivectomy. Then with the gingiva, we had to do some bone measurements and adapted the bone for our biological width. Then after that, we made provisionals in full zirconia. And then after the full zirconia and the adaptation of the gingiva, we waited for 3 months. And then we adapted our preps, and then the first definite impression was made. You see, I made a horizontal key on the provisionals. Why? For my horizontal plane. So when I'm working on my structures, we did a lot of pre-studies for the horizontal and the line and the laugh line and the embracers and everything. And I want to adapt that with my setup. So this is the zirconia work. You see, it's full zirconia. And on the buccal side, it's only 0.4 or 0.3 we took away. So we will give some color with the luster paint, and then we will use the ceramics to build up the whole thing. The wash fire, we can do wash fires or with powders or with luster paints. So the paste of the luster paste, it's a fluid ceramic. So this is not really, it's not an in vivo set. It's a zirconia-based ceramic. It's fluid, but it's ceramic. So we have to think ceramic way. In the set, you will see a transparent bottle and a white bottle. There is definitely a difference in that. The white bottle is the refresh liquid. That means the content of that bottle is the same that's in the jar. So when your luster paste is dried out, you have to refresh with the same liquid that's been dried out. The diluting liquid on the left, the transparent bottle, that's the liquid to make it on your hand. So you have to think a little bit on oil paint. And some guys want their oil paint really stiff, and the other ones want it a little bit more liquid. So the diluting liquid is to make it yours. Okay, refreshing liquid is in the jar, and the diluting liquid is to make it adapted to your mind of working and setup. I don't talk about how to do what. I don't say you have to do this, you don't have to do that, you don't have to do anything. Okay, so please take some of my advice and add it to your system, and then you have your system that works, and you steal a little bit there and you steal a little bit from someone else. That's how we do it. So you see the white bottle for refresh our luster pastes. After painting the luster paste on our zirconia structure, I sprinkle it with CLF. The CLF, it's a clear fluorescence. Why do I do that? My colleague, we are with two dental technicians, master ceramists in GC Europe that give courses, and he thinks it's a little bit crap that I do this, but that's okay. Because if we all say the same, we don't learn anything. Why do I do this? I want to sprinkle the CLF, the clear fluorescence, for two reasons. One, to add fluorescence on my zirconia, and two, you see it's 6 anteriors and it was 28 elements this case. If we now just paint and put it on our fire tray, we all know the color will drop. Definitely with the guys who wants it real fluid. If you sprinkle it with CLF, it will dry out, and then you put it on the tray and it's stable. So it's for my own comfort that I do this, and also I create now with the CLF my dentine enamel junction already. Is that clear for everybody? Your mic is not on, so I think yes. I fire this wash fire 20 degrees too high, okay, to make sure that it's all been fired through, because overfiring is okay, underfiring is a big problem. So if you're not sure of your furnace, you have to add some temperature. Today I was with a colleague in Flanders, and he never calibrated his furnace after buying it. And he's 62 years old, and now he's having some chipping problems, and his color is a little bit whitish, and he doesn't know why that is. But we have to calibrate our furnace every 6 months or at least once a year. How to do that? You can fire a clear tap or a clear fluorescence or a window or anything that you like, but it has to be glass clear. You fire a tap on the dentin temperature. When it comes out a little bit opacious, then it's too low. When it comes out glass clear but rounded, your borders are rounded, it's too high. So it has to be completely transparent and your borders has to be sharp. Then your furnace is calibrated, because the temperature on your furnace is not the temperature that it is. And with metal ceramic, that was not a problem at all, because we fire around 900 with metal ceramic. But zirconia is already at 810, and then with lithium disilicate we are around 750, 760, and then a deviation of 10, 20 or 30 degrees, that's really a problem. Okay, this is how it looks like after firing. So you see it's really smooth, and the wash fire is also for the ionization. So parts of, if you use metal ceramic or zirconia or whatever, parts of one point will come out and connect with the other. So this color will infiltrate a little bit in your zirconia, and your zirconia will infiltrate a little bit in your luster paste. Then I will add A2, and inside A42, inside it's like warm dentine, and it's a little bit darker. The inside 42, it's the greenish. You see at my canine, I will add much of it, even almost at the incisal third, and then the rest, it's a half moon on the cervical third with a little bit of drop. And then I will add my dentine as my full anatomic form. Then I will check it with my horizontal key. This is the key that you saw with the provisionals, because I want to make sure that my horizontal is perfect. Why? If I do my cutback now, I really like to work with a cutback. Why is that? I was trained like this, and I'm already an old one in the field. So now it's all one bake and we do it without cutback and it's really sexy. But I want to have control. So with the cutback, I have control. And if I do it in one bake without cutback, sometimes I am going a little bit too big. I make mistakes every single day. Ask my ex-wife. After my cutback, I do a dentine A2 and an enamel 50-50. The FD91, you will see the one is blue, the other one is yellow and then pink. The FD91, it's a fluodentine 91. It's really hard, and you always can dilute the harder colors or your fluodentine with or dentine or CLF or window. I don't give protocols. You have to test and drive and fail and then make it your own. Then the pink one is the A2 with the EN 42 50-50. And then at last, it's the CLF. You will see this is not rocket science. I don't use 15, 16 jars. It's really sexy. It's really nice on a master course. But then you come home, you want to make money. I like to ski. So for a ski holiday, you need a little bit of money. But with 15 jars, it takes you too much time. Okay, it's really nice to show off. But this is when the money comes in. And it really looks great. So after the cutback, you see the pink and the yellowish, the mamelon structure. I will add the bluish. The bluish is the diluting of the dentine with the enamel. It's also called, sometimes you will hear the enamel blocker. That's some guys call that an enamel blocker. Also the horizontal line on the cervical area. Sometimes we see a little bit lighter color, but with the same chroma, but it's the same color, but it isn't. It's a little bit lighter. That is most of the time the dentine diluted with your enamel mixture. And then the whitish is the CLF. You see my CLF now, it's only on the incisal third because I work with zirconia. And as you know, I already sprinkled my luster pastes with CLF. So my CLF is already going down until the cervical area. We all know that our dentine enamel junction in nature will go from the incisal edge until the cervical. Also, our border of pink is also a little bit of fluorescence. So we have to connect the two parts of fluorescence. And then this is my safety net. So after this setup, I will fire it. Why? This is my color firing. I will fire this and I will make sure that the color is almost there. My morphology is with the second fire. So, and this gives me my comfort that I know, okay, I always can add more chroma because I don't have a transparent wall on my colors. Because if we have dentine and enamel, and then you see the color is a little bit off and you have to add more chroma, you have to put that on your enamel part. And then you have dentine, enamel, and then you lose the game. This is how it looks like after the first firing. So you see the CLF, it's really, really transparent. Make sure that your CLF is a little bit too high, because after grinding, after applying your enamel and after grinding your incisal edge to the palatal side on an angle of 45 degrees, you have to touch your CLF. Why? If you do that, if you have your incisal edge like this and your edge on 45 degrees, your CLF will pop out and then your natural halo comes in, because your light will bounce on your buccal part, but it will also be sucked in on your incisal because of your CLF part. And then the light will come from the inside of your tooth towards you. And then you will have your natural halo effect. After the first fire without enamel, I do my color check. I do that with a black tray underneath the water. The rituals, that's I don't know if you have that in South Africa, but it's soap and massage oil, etc. So if you want to score with the missus, buy yourself some massage oil, take that to the lab, and you can use that for your color check. And then you take a color right on top of your teeth. And then you see now that my chroma is a little bit too much, but that's good because I need my enamel. If now the chroma is 1-on-1, you will lose the fight because the enamel will be gentle and will soften your chroma. So your chroma has to be, after your first firing without enamel, a little bit too much. So when that's it, then you know I'm on the safe spot. Are there any questions until now? I will drink some of my wine. I heard that there's a alcohol lockdown in South Africa, so bottoms up. No questions?
Hi, Bob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Got one question, Bob. When you were doing the sprinkle technique
Yes.
before your luster characterization, you said your colleague doesn't believe in it. Does he not believe in the sprinkle technique, or does he not believe in using CLF for that purpose? Does he use another ceramic?
No, he don't like to sprinkle.
Okay.
But for me, it's really safe, because what does he do? He paints it, and then he holds the model horizontal, and then he dries out one, and then the other, and then the other, and then the other. But we need our CLF until the cervical third. So we have to add our fluorescence until our edge, because we have to connect the fluorescence part of our gum with the fluorescence part of our neck. And 10 years ago, we mixed a little bit of pink in our enamel for the cervical border to have that connection. But with the initial ceramic, we have the CLF, and that's so much more natural. So I think it's really, really nice to do it like that. But I think also it's really good to have 10 technicians and all 10 with a small difference of getting the job done. So I'm totally fine with that.
Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, that answers the question. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
I have nothing further, but if something comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Then, so the first fire is the color firing. The second firing is for the morphology, and then my mixtures comes in. So I work with a mixture, in this case with enamel 58-60%, then the EI 14 20%, and the EOP booster 20%. So the first three things that you see, that's my enamel mixture for this patient. The 58, it's for the Vita color. The EI 14, it's a little bit of yellowish. And the booster, the opal booster, is to add some opalescence in it. So if I talk about my enamel, it's these three things, okay? And then below that, the EOP booster, 50% with the enamel mixture for the light angles. And that is what it looks like. So the whitish is the enamel, and then the bluish is the opal booster, 50% with the enamel. After firing, it looks like this. So you see already the yellow warm glow on the teeth. We are working for a patient of 62 years old. In my career, I think, and I won't overdo it, I think I made 5 bleach works. And with the 5 times I did that, I had 5 times problems. Because why? People that like bleach, they want everything in a straight line. They don't like light angles. They want a lateral that's as long as their central, a canine that looks like a central. So it's always a fight. So if they say, I have a job for a bleach guy, I ask them to put it in another lab. And then, so after this, I grind a little bit, and then I make my final bake with a mixture of 50% enamel diluted with the CLF. So by doing this, I have my main enamel mixture, my second enamel mixture 50% with opal booster, and then for the final characterizations of my morphology, I have another diluted enamel with my CLF. I don't know if you know Joshua Polanski, but instead Joshua Polanski really likes the CL. So he doesn't like the CLF, he works with the CL. So whatever you like, try it, try the CLF, try the CL, and we can only learn when we fail. So please fail sometimes. So this is my final bake. Just a little bit of light angles and a little bit here and a little bit more volume, but you have to make sure that your volume is already 95% okay with the second firing, because if we work too much with our diluted enamel now, we will make it too gray. The more transparent our material is and the more thicker, the more grayish it will be. This was the final fire. I will give you some time and then you can put on Facebook, I saw a presentation of Bob and this and that. But what's wrong? Position of the 12. You see, it's inclinated to the incisal. On the model, it was really okay. The embracer of the 21, you see, it's a little bit too much to the distal side. Everything else is pretty much okay. So we did a trying, we did a test, we did a biscuit fire, we did another fire with a patient, because I work with a doctor and a dental chair and we always do one-on-one. And it was okay. Are you okay with this? Is it everything okay? Shall I put a little bit more orange on my incisal edge? Yes, 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 yes. And the patient wants a lighter color. So this is our worst nightmare. And what to do with our worst nightmare? Listen, smile, agree, and then do the fuck whatever you want. And say, thank you, patient, and I will make it much more nicer. I redid the whole work. It's a full upper and lower. It's been cemented 2 weeks ago, but the patient will come back the last day of this month, so I don't have a final picture. If you want, I can put a final picture in the mailbox of Brian, and you can have some comments on the final work for that patient. Do you have any questions about this work? Because this is the last part of the zirconia. Any questions? Any questions about the enamel mixtures? I don't really believe in the pure E colors. If you see the enamel E57 until E60, it's from light gray until dark gray. And it's all related to the Vita scale. And the Vita scale is a scale from the 1950s. Now, with the bioemulation group, we know that the enamel is more present than even the dentine. So we have to adapt our chroma a little bit with the enamels. So I will always mix enamel with the E's or the EI's. Okay?
Another questions I've got posted as of yet, Bob. If I could just ask a question, the opal booster,
Yes.
you can change the value of the crown using your opal booster. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. The more opal booster that you use, the more grayish you will put on your crown.
Yeah.
So we say in general, don't go more than 30% in your mixture, or it has to be a patient with really grayish contact points. So our teeth will grow old and go more transparent because they get more transparent and translucent. They look more grayish, but they aren't, but our dentine has saturated a little bit more. And for those patients, you can use 100% opal booster on your contact area. and that's really, really nice, but it can also kill you. So my suggestion for that is, if your partner is having her birthday or his birthday on a Friday night and you have to go to the restaurant, don't do that, okay? Because then maybe you are a little bit the effort, because Murphy doesn't like technicians. So be gentle. Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
The next patient, it's a lady from I think she was around 36 years old, and she had bulimia for 15 years. So you see that she lost the total incisal third of her upper because she vomited the whole day for 15 years. So these are very difficult patients. Why? Because they don't feel that confident, and if we kill the crowns, then the life of this patient, I won't say it's over, but before they do this and before they say I will go to the dentist and I will say I had bulimia and I want to do something on my teeth, they have some confidence, and then if we then fail, that's not that good. So we have to really have much respect for our patients. So we really have to think we are working for the patient and not for our dentist. The color taking. If you take your pictures yourself in the lab, make sure that you take your color tab and you push your color tab to the tongue, because if the light goes through that color tab, it will be more grayish. You have to block the light to see the right color of the incisal edge and your color tab. We make a mock-up and we transfer this mock-up in the patient's mouth to see if she likes the horizontal line, the smile line, the embrasures, etc. And this is what we made. We will use this mock-up to do our preps. Then we know for sure that we have the right thickness. So if we just use the mock-up to see and make a picture and you really look nice and then take it off and do our preps, we don't know if we have enough material removed to make our crowns like we did our study. So we do our study, we take them on top of that, we do our preps, and then we are sure that we are home safe. And then you see how nice this gum is. So you see the prep line, it's one-on-one with the border of our gingiva. And this is really nice when we work with the lithium disilicate. With zirconia, even with zirconia, we can have a little bit of shadow in our gum. If we have thin biotype, it's really thin and high fluorescence, the gum, then we can create shadow, definitely with metal ceramic. And I really want to talk a little bit of our biological width and the biotypes. So the patient is not only about teeth. The teeth are the most easy part of everything. In general, we work for 28 teeth. The half of it looks the same. So we have to know for sure 14 different shapes. I think everybody can do this. But everything you don't see, it's much more important than the teeth itself. So we have to make sure that we know what the biological width is and the biotypes. Our biological width, it's about, in general, 3 millimeters. If we interfere with the biological width, we have gum inflammation. Gum inflammation means retraction of the gum, and then the bone will follow, because the bone will say, oh, you're coming too close, I need my 3 millimeters, and then we have reaction of the gum and the bone. So that's really important. Hand in hand with the biological width is the biotype. We have two different biotypes. We have thin biotype on your right, and we have thick biotype. This is more of implant work, but also if you work on ceramics. If you push thin biotype too much, you will push it away. If your gum is going away, the bone will follow. If the thick biotype on your left, you don't push too much, it will also go away, because it's like a belt in the trousers. If I don't use my belt, my trousers will drop and the bone will follow. So it's really important that our communication about the biotype is granted, and that our dentists are in general talking about, okay, guys, this is a thin biotype and this is a thick biotype. One, for the pressure, but second, for everything else. So you can read also, but a thick biotype, the papilla on a thick biotype are a little bit lower and more rounded, and your gum is a little bit darker, okay? That's really important. Sometimes we make an implant job and the job is done, and then we have, it's nice, but I don't know, I don't have a warm feeling about it, but I don't know why. The teeth are okay, but it's not the patient itself. Most of the time it's the gum. So we have to make sure that we know, okay, this is a thick biotype, so the gum point and the papilla don't have to be that high, they have to be a little bit rounded, and the gum has to be a little bit dark. You see at the cervical area, that part is real fluorescence, but it's really dark pink. With the thin biotype, you see the fluorescence definitely in the cervical area, it's whitish, the papilla are much higher and really pointy. So the main thing, thick biotype, darker, rounded papilla, not that high. Thin biotype, really pink, really light pink, higher papilla and pointed papilla. We do the transfer for the provisionals. You see already we have some surface structure also on the provisionals. When we push our provisionals with our silicone key, we make sure that the retraction cord stays in at the gum. Why? To make sure that the material is not going into the sulcus, because if it goes into the sulcus, even a very thin part of it, then you get gum inflammation, and during the process you can have some retraction of the gum, and most of the time it will come back when your definite work is done. But you will see when it's your niece and she will, or best friend of your brother or whatever, then it won't come back, and they will complain and they will call you on a Sunday morning because they see a little bit of their natural denting, and we don't want that, of course. We polish the thing, and this is the first time our patient has a look at her new smile. I hope I don't go too fast. I hope everything is clear also. The first work was with zirconia. We are all familiar with zirconia, and this work was with LISI. Okay, LISI is a lithium disilicate, and if we talk about lithium disilicate, most of the time we call it Emax. I'm a dental technician. I'm not a salesman. My boss is not listening, I hope. So everything that's 100% synthetic will be grayish. So also the LISI of GC, if we have our LAB measurements, we will see it's a little bit more grayish than the other parts. The more natural material of feldspar particles in our ceramic make it more natural. In the LISI ingots, there is no feldspar. Okay, so because there's no feldspar, it will appear a little bit grayish. But Emax, it's already 20 years old, and we know a car from 20 years ago and a new car, the engine is a little bit different. The biggest difference with LISI from GC and Emax or another one is the HDM, is the high density micronization. What is it? What is this? The fillers are really, really small, and they are programmed to be in the right spot after pressing. I say after pressing. Why? Sometimes if we have our sprue channel, let's say on a premolar, on our cusp tip with a friendly colleague, we have a grayish cusp tip. That grayish means it's all glass material and the fillers are not there anymore. Why is that? The fillers don't know I have to go up again. The HDM micronization is a programmed system that the fillers know, okay, after pressing, I have to go up the mountain again to be on the cusp tip. And that's again, with the particle size, the most different thing with Emacs. You see, if we have big fillers, we create lots of shadow. Lots of shadow mean grayish. And that's the big thing, okay? The fillers are not programmed and they are bigger. Is Emacs bad? No, Emacs is not bad. They opened the market for lithium disilicate. We have to be thankful. But now we have a better material. Maybe in 2 years, Ivoclar has something better. And then after 2 years, we have something better. And that's really a good thing. Why? Competition makes us better, okay? If we stay stable and we have a flat line, we are dead before we are dead. So we have to have some competition and we have to explore ourselves and we have, like I said, fail once in a while. Also a small graphic, if you don't have the picture, bigger fillers mean also after acetting or bruxism or grinding, you have more chance of chipping and a higher solubility. And then you see the LISI, smaller fillers, less chance of everything. That's a product management thing. If you press in your lab, of course, we don't want to press 1 unit because in Belgium, one 200 grams cylinder with 1 ingot and 1 plunger costs about 24 euros. With one ingot, we can press about 5 or 6 elements. Okay, so I rather press 6 elements than 1 element, but you will see sometimes something fails and you have to press 1 element. What's the biggest failure that we can do? I'm sorry, that we just press that one. But you see the sprue channel on your right. Why do we do that? You see it ends the same height of our cervical area because the air that we push in will go into the sprue channel and also in our molar side. So the cervical area on the tip of the molar will be half as hard of pressing air than without the sprue channel. If everything of the air goes in the cervical area of our molar, the air will push our LISI a little bit in, because LISI and Emacs and everything that's glass, it will be fluid and it will be pushed, but the air will push back. So with that sprue channel, the air is only half of the pressure time. You also see the very tiny sprue channel on the cervical area. Why is that? If we push a molar or a really big element, we push it, it goes into the sprue channel, and then it goes around of our element. And when it comes together, it could be, I don't say it will be, but it could be that it's already a little bit too cold. And then sometimes you see a small grayish line in your element. Some guys think it's a crack, and sometimes say it's a discoloration. It's not a crack, it's a discoloration. And why is it a discoloration? Because the two parts come together and it's a little bit too cold, and our programmed material can't go through that cold wall. And then if we push now through, we keep on pushing, then our small sprue channel will take the coldest part away, and then it can connect, and we don't have a grayish line on the opposite of our sprue channel. Our sprue channel can be from 3 millimeters until 8 millimeters long. Why? Old school guys like me, we know if we did metal ceramic, then we have to make sure that every sprue channel has the same height. But with the LISI elements and also the Emax element, we have to make sure that our cervical area is on the same position. If we have an anterior central and a lateral, and we have our sprue channel twice 3 millimeters long, the lateral will be too low and all the air will go into the central. It will be pushed back, and we could have a disformation of our cervical area on our central. So we have to make sure our cervical of the central and the lateral are on the same height. And this is why our sprue channel can be from 2 until 8 millimeters long. The diameter is 3. We have an SR liquid. So you see this liquid, the old school guys, we can say it's like Waxit. But if you use the SR liquid as Waxit, you will fail. Because we say that with the SR liquid, we never have, we even say that we never have a reaction layer. But if this SR liquid is too thick, we have even more reaction layer than without. So what to do? You have to sprue it on in a range of 15 centimeters and then dry out with pressed air very gently. If I make just veneers, small veneers, I don't even use SR liquid. I only use SR liquid when I use molars or premolars. Just one moment, my partner came in. Hello. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. So troubleshooting, what can go wrong in this phase? We work with the wrong angle. If the angle is too pointy, of course we have stress. If they are too close to each other, or we put too much in or too high, we have to make sure that everything is in the same position of our cylinder. We can press with one ingot about 0.8 grams. 0.8. Every technician thinks then, okay, I can go to 1 gram. That's true. You can go to 1 gram, but you can't go to 1.2 grams. So if I say, guys, you can go to 1.0 grams, but don't go to 1.2. Bob said 1.0, so I go 1.2. No, you can go to 0.8. If you use, but it's not in the manual and it's not in the IFU, instruction for use, you can use 2 ingots in the same time. If you have double grams, you can use 2 ingots of LISI, but it's not in the IFU of LISI. What to do if you do that? Our ingots are a little bit shaped like this. Okay, it's a small not a trapezium form, and we have a stamp with a color on top of that. It says LISI and then it says LT or HT. You have to grind that off, and then you have to put top on top, so that our ingot goes like this. It's not that sharp, but it goes like this. And then the second one you put with the top on top. You grind it out, the stamp, and you put it top on top. If you do top bottom, it's possible that by making our glass material fluid, that we will have some air in between. And if you put top on top, you don't have that. If you put the stamp on and you don't grind it away, it could be that you have a grayish line. Why? The paint of that stamp can't evaporate on the air, and it will go into your glass material and it can't go away. So you can have a milky cloud or a grayish line because of the stamp. I'm sorry. This is a cylinder. I always put my cylinders on top of, this is a plunger. So why? Old school metal ceramic guys know 15 minutes before melting the metal, we will turn our cylinder to make sure that every gas is going away from the wax or something else. But we can't do that with the LISI crowns. Why? The temperature of the LISI investment, it's really, really important. So don't interfere, because we have our crystallite jump with our investment, and it has to be perfect. So just put it sideways like this. So in this way, we also have our flow of the air and not influence of our gases into the cylinder. Troubleshooting. You see too much cylinders, the wrong place, too long in the furnace, and the wrong temperature. A ceramic furnace and a burnout furnace, it will say that temperature, but it's not that temperature. Okay, they are fooling us. The ceramic furnaces of Ivoclar are always a little bit too high. The ceramic of in average always a little bit too low. I mean, the Dekema furnaces are in average always a little bit too high. I had a Ivoclar furnace and I had to fire everything 20 degrees higher. A Dekema furnace is always too high, or most of the time too high. Only the oral design Dekema furnaces are too low, because then the end temperature of our dentine fire is longer, and they fooled us a little bit with those temperatures. We have a really, really nice thing, because we have a KOL, we work with KOL people, key opinion leaders from all over the world. Also the host, Michael, from nearby Cape Town, is also a KOL, and twice a year he will come to Europe and have a nice dinner and some Belgian beers. And then we interact with each other, question and answer for two full days. And full days means during the day and also at the bar until night. And this is a design of our KOL from Austria. He made a STL file. You can print this STL file and you can press this in every ingot that we have on the market. And then it looks like that. Why is this necessary? Because now you can also grind this tab with the thickness. This is the full thickness, but you can say I will reduce it for half, or 75% or 80% or 90%. And then if you do your individual color taking, you can use your own tabs regarding the ingots that you will use. This is the full color chart of the ingots at this moment on the market. And this is the field where you can use them. Of course, this is the manual. If you say, I want to try something else, be free to do that, test it, let us know what to do. I like to use the LT or the MOs. When do I use the MOs? When my natural dentition is discolored. The darker our crown, our natural dye is, the more we have to block it. And we can only block it with an opacious one. And the MO0 is the most opacious one. But you see behind the black wall, it's still a little bit transparent. But all the others are more transparent. The HTs, all at the top, that's only for almost non-prep or veneers and small inlays and onlays. And then you can play with the MTs and the LTs for yourself. Okay, it's a little bit try and failure for your market and what you like. The LTAs, the thirds, the LTAs, LTBs, and Cs and Ds, it's always the LTA. It will look after pressing a little bit like an A2. You can do full anatomics, and then you can color it with our luster pastes. You have the MT-A1s, also full anatomic, and color it with our luster pastes. if you use the LTAs or B or C or Ds, these are also really good to use with a cutback, what I used for this patient. Are there any questions at this moment? No? Okay.
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
Sorry, it takes me a while to get on there.
No, not a problem at all.
I've just got one question. Sandile, who's obviously in the webinar, asks, he sometimes gets a milky or whitish layer on the margin area after firing his LISI crown, and he wants to know what the cause of that could be.
That could be if you are using the fluid fire pastes. If you use too much and it comes out and it touches your ceramic or the outside, then you can have a discoloration whitish, or even, let's say you have a lower anterior case and you don't adapt your drying time, then the fluid firing pastes, if they don't are really dried out before the furnace closes, everything looks gray. So all the grayish discolorations you see on Facebook, 99.9% of the time is used firing pastes and don't adapt it their drying time.
Right.
But also a possibility is that you use a different liquid. If you use LISI, you really have to use a build-up liquid that's designated for the low fusing ceramic. You have some universal liquids, but they are not always gentle for the really low ceramics. So you have to make sure if you use LISI, please use the LISI liquid. With the LISI liquid, you can also, if you use the low fusing liquid, you can use that for everything, also for your metal ceramic. But you can't use the metal ceramic liquid because it's fired much higher. So you can always use, if you say, I will use LISI, but I have once in a while metal ceramic, you can use the LISI liquid for everything, but you can't use, I always use metal ceramic and once in a while LISI. You can't use the liquid for the metal ceramic for your LISI because the fillers of the liquid are designated for high firing temperatures. That's really important.
Yeah, thought so. Thank you very much. Also, that you touched on metal ceramics, Bongine asks, he gets also a yellowish oxide coming out of his fired washed porcelain on porcelain fused to metal crowns, VMKs. He says it affects his porcelain buildup and changes his shade. And my answer to that was its reaction to his separator.
Could be. Yeah. It all starts with calibrating our furnaces. So like I said in the beginning of the presentation, please start with calibrating your furnace, and then your wash fire, your first fire of your opaque should be very, very thin, and after firing it should be a little bit glazy. So it should shine a little bit. If that's not the point, it's underfired, and underfired opaque, metal ceramic opaque, means that you don't have an ionization between your opaque and your metal structure. So that means also that your bonding is not sufficient enough.
Right.
If you use too much opaque with your first firing, then regarding the ionization and the thick layer could give you a discoloration of yellow, more chromatic color of your opaque. Could be.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you.
So after pressing, it looks like this. You just sandblast it. I sandblasted first the upper left with glass beads, and then when I'm almost there, I use sandblasting material 50 micron, and then I drop my pressure with to 1.5. Of course, I don't have to say you have to be gentle with this one. Okay. This is a picture. If you put this on Facebook, this is not what they call dental, you know, but this is our daily work, okay? If we put this on Facebook, it's not sexy enough, it's not high end and blah, 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 but this makes our living. This makes that we make crowns and we can take our children to university, to college, have a nice vacation, and also our crowns look really, really nice. If we have our ego on Facebook, then we say, I need a little bit of this or a little bit of that, but I want to show you my daily work, and this is it, okay? So the right one is the cutback I use for my LISI ceramic material. Then the wash fire, really, really important. Or you use the LISI powders, or you use the luster pastes. When to use what? What do you like? Okay. For myself, I will choose my wash firing regarding the color of the patient. If I have lots of horizontal different colors like tetracycline discoloration or borders that are much more chromatic or lighter or set or etc., then I would rather go to luster pastes. If the color is a smooth, let's say A1, A2, then I will go to the powders. My wash fire with powders, it's very thin, and I will always dilute my dentine with CLF. So if I use powders, I will make a mixture of dentine 50% with CLF. If I use luster, you saw with the zirconia, it's the same. That's the nice thing of initial ceramic. If I use luster, I will sprinkle it with CLF. So here you see, I used for this case the luster pastes because we had a discoloration, horizontal discoloration for this patient, and I sprinkle it with the CLF. I overfire it, like I said the first time, also with the LISI. I will always overfire my connection fire. I will overfire my metal ceramic, first opaque. I will overfire my connection fire with the zirconia, and I will overfire my connection fire with the LISI. It's much better to overfire than to underfire. If you underfire your ceramic, it's too opacious and the light will kill everything. You see with the luster here, I added already a little bit of orangeness on the mamelon structure. I added a little bit of bluish on my light angles and a horizontal light border on the cervical and mid-third. The layering, the same. That's the nice thing of initial ceramic. You can always use, you can use 15, 16, 17, 18 different jars and colors, or you can think and you can dilute the colors that are already on your plate. And then I mean your neck area, your gingiva, your FD 91, 92. Also here I have FD and you see the yellow tips. That's the FD. It's always the same setup that I do. Also the CLF. The CLF will suck in the light and will reflect it that we have our natural halo effect. Our firing charts, but this is the manual, okay? Every furnace has a deviation. So it's really, really important to get to your furnace tomorrow morning and to have a checkup of the furnace. You see, it's really this, it won't drop in value after 8 times, but to be honest, if you need 8 firing times for your crowns, please invite me and we will do a one-in-one. It will be an honor to come back to South Africa and we will go through this building experience. Also very stable in cracks and in sharpness. And this is the opal booster. Opal booster, what means opalescence? Opalescence is the change of color of our white, blue, and orange balance. White and blue with the reflection straight on, and it will come back. So if we have straight light and we will bounce it and it comes back, we have whitish and bluish material. If the light comes from the back and it goes through, then it will be more orange. And that can also be implemented by using our CLF. So the CLF and the angle of 45 degrees in our incisal edge will make that our light will be sucked in our incisal third, and that the light will come back from the inside of our ceramic. And then when the patients move like this, we will have our natural opalescence. 10 years ago, we had opal blue, opal orange, and opal white, and it was always blue, orange, and white, regarding the angle of the light. So again, my enamel mixture, I think with this patient, I used EI11 and EI13 and 20% of opal booster. And then the yellowish is the opal booster mixed with 50-50 with my enamel. This is how it looked on the model. Always use a master model to make sure that your contact points are perfect, but we all know that our working model, the dye models, are not sufficient enough to have our contact points. We have to make sure that our contact area, I really like to work with the Dr. Tarnow idea. So the lowest part of our contact point should be 4.8 millimeters away from the bone tip. So underneath our papilla is our bone tip, and the lowest point of our contact point should be at 4.8. In literature, we say 5 millimeters because they think that dental technicians can't hold on the 4.8. Of course, this is communication with your dentist. This is knowing the difference between thin and thick biotype. But again, communication and working one-on-one with the patient, it's really important. Structure, this patient didn't need a lot of structure. Etching and bonding, don't do that in the lab. Do that, it's better to assist your dentist than pre-etch in the lab, because if he tested it and then do it again, then it's over-etched, and over-etched mean that it could be, I don't say it will be, but it could be that the bonding strength is not sufficient enough. The patient, so she started from this, and we made that. The upper picture is a recall picture after 2 weeks, so we already see that our papilla are almost there. Only at the left side between the lateral and the canine, we see a little bit of a discoloration, but in fact, this is just a burning wound of our lamp. So it's really hot, and if we do the luting of our crowns and we take too much time at one area, it could be that we burn a little bit of the gum of the patient, but she will survive and she was okay. So this is the full build-up. This is, let's say, the advanced technique, but not every patient can pay for an advanced technique. But another technique is also doable with the luster pastes. So we make a full anatomic crown. We paint with our luster pastes. Again, luster pastes are fluid zirconia ceramics, so you can do internal staining and external staining with luster paste for all the ceramics. There's only one but: don't do internal staining with the luster pastes on metal ceramic, because we work with, like I said, a zirconia based. So it could be, if you do internal staining with the luster pastes, that you can have micro cracks in your enamel. So internal, external for everything, only not internal for metal ceramic. We have to be patient. This is, luster paste is not an in vivo set, okay? Every ceramist says my job is done. I only have to glaze it again. But if you use luster paste, it's like building up ceramics. So we have to have patience. So please think in 1, 2, or 3 firing times. The first firing time for your chroma and the second firing time for your transparency. And then it looked like this. You will see it's set up in the mouth with lots of Vaseline. So that's the borders that you see around the neck area. But for a patient that, or a denture or 6 anteriors full anatomic, she would also, I think, be happy if we have this solution for her. This is pressed in MO and then colored with luster paste. Please, again, ask my ex-wife. I failed completely every day, but if we don't fail, we can't learn. So we have to fail to learn. Are there any questions? Or comments? Please let me know, because we are on the end of our webinar. If there aren't any questions, please enjoy. I will be 50 next year in May, so I hope I will have another 30 years. So please enjoy what you are doing, because it's really important, and don't wait. We are all dental technicians. If we have to wait until we have our pension, it won't happen. If we wait until we are very rich by making teeth, it won't happen. So please enjoy, stay positive, and of course we will fail, but then again, this is life.
Bob, there's a few questions coming through.
Perfect.
If I can just grab you while we can. And guys, if I could take this opportunity to really ask Bob anything that you need to know. I see Brian's logged on as well. It's an invaluable session to have with someone of Bob's skill and expertise. So make use of it while we can now. I know there's another webinar next week, which is on the Gradia. But as far as ceramics is concerned, I think it's a good time to grab him now. Bob, there's a question here about contact points. Henry says, should it be 4.8 millimeters from the bone of the papilla or the gum?
No. So if you have your teeth like this is our cervical area. So this is the lowest point of our contact area. Then we have our gum like this. And underneath the gum, there is our bone tip. And the best thing to do is when we do our biscuit face, that our dentist has his probe, and he will touch the bone tip, and then he will measure with the pocket probe to see if we are on our 4.85 millimeters. That's the best thing to do. The other thing to do is, we all know with thin biotype, it's about there because we see the papilla, and with thick biotype, it's rounded papilla. We can go a little bit higher with our contact point because the papilla is more rounded. So if the dentist want the crown finished in one time, we really need to read our papilla and ask even the dentist, please make sure, is it a thin or a thick biotype, to do high-end aesthetic work.
Great. Comment coming in from Clayton saying he really appreciates a realistic and a realistic build-up technique that can be reproduced in the lab. So I think they're saying that what you're doing is fantastic, as it really equates to what we do every day, and it's added your approach to fine-tuning what everybody's doing, and that was one of the comments coming in, which was
Thank you so much. Really nice to hear.
I see John Maloney from GC UK is also online, which is great to have him available as well. Welcome, John.
In Dutch we say hoedje op. You know,
Yeah.
hoedje op. That means it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Just
for me, a presentation and a course, it's something that we could implement in our daily work. Of course, I also give really advanced courses, but that's once in a month or once in 2 months that you say, okay, now I will work 2 days on 1 or 2 crowns. But in the end, we work to have a good time at home and to have quality time with our family. And quality time means a little bit of cash to have some nice things. If we want to go to a restaurant or educate our children, we need some money. And then we need a kind of a system to work daily. And 15 jars, that's the guys that can ask 2,000 euros for a crown. But those days are over. That's 10 years ago, before China came in. The prices also in Belgium were much higher. But after China, we all had to drop. And we dropped even 200 euros for a crown. But yeah, good fast and cheap doesn't work.
No. I believe in, and you know, speaking from here, I think, you know, if you remain steadfast in what you do and you produce the quality, it's going to speak for itself at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got another question, Bob. Clayton, he says about using 2 ingots in the same ring.
Yeah.
That's only applicable for the larger ring, right? The 200 gram.
Oh, no, it's depending on the wax structure. Some guys, definitely the East European guys, they put 20, 30 veneers in 100 gram rings. It's like a Christmas tree. But then you need, Emax has the large ingot, but we only have one shape of ingot. And then you can implement 2 ingots.
Yeah.
But it's only depending on the wax and not on your cylinder.
Okay. The questions are coming in quite fast and thick here, so I'm just trying to keep. Bob, is this question time, or do you need to finish off?
No. Could you give me 1 minute?
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you. Then you can see the questions, and then I come back.
I can quickly have a chat here, Mike.
Yeah.
That little shade tab that Bob said that they print with a 3D printer.
Yeah.
If any of the delegates are looking for that little tab, the STL file, please reach out to myself, Henry, Harleen at Milner's. There's only one Brian at Milner's and one Henry, and one Harleen. So please give us a shout. I've got the STL file that Bob gave me, so I'll gladly share it with you. It's free of charge, obviously.
Yeah, it's a lovely tool to have. That. It really is.
It fits into the GC Shade tabs, so it's a If you've got the GC Shade tabs, which normally come with kits, those will fit in there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really works.
You can answer Henry's question, I'm sure, but reusing buttons.
I wouldn't. Not advisable. Once the ceramic is heated and melted, its structure changes slightly. So you wouldn't want to go and reheat a button again. No.
I want to implement something else. We have our alumina oxide plungers, and we have our disposable plungers. The alumina plungers aren't that good. Okay, with an alumina oxide plunger, you can only push 300 times. Nobody in the lab knows how much cylinders you pushed, and it's like a sports car. I don't know if you have Dacia in South Africa. You have Dacia cars? No. Brian rides Suzuki. Eh? So you have Suzuki and you have a Porsche. It will both take you from Burnham to Johannesburg if you want, and you have the time. And it will all start, but the more sophisticated your engine is, the more sophisticated the surrounding should be. And LISI is really, really high-end, sophisticated material. And then we are going to use an old school alumina plunger. It doesn't work. So you have to invest in an investment plunger, one-way plunger. It doesn't cost that much, but it's so much better for your end result. Why? An alumina oxide plunger will also, because of the temperature shock, it will suck a little bit of the stress. And then if you use the alumina oxide plunger, sometimes you see the round edges of the cervical area of your prep line. And that's not of the material, that's just the after sucking of the plunger. So that's really, really important. And also the failure rate with LISI, it's about 5 degrees up and 5 degrees low. So if you are changing from Emax to LISI, give yourself 2 or 3 trial pressing to make sure that your furnace is in the right position. If you don't do that and you say Emax is working and I will do the same with my LISI, doesn't work. Okay, you have to test it. It's like going from a 2-cylinder car to a 6-cylinder car. If you do the same with your feet, then you are in the house next door. So if you change from a material 1 or 2, you always have to give yourself some time to test the surroundings of it.
Yeah. Bob, another question from Peter Basson. He says, can you etch zirconia and use monobond for a better bond?
I don't believe in chemical bonding with zirconia.
Yeah.
Because it's all about adhesion. You have to make sure that your coping is in the right structure, but I'm an old school technician. Okay, if you ask the same question to a 30-year-old technician, he will say, yeah, I will use that bond or this bond. I have my technique and I don't use a chemical bonding system with my zirconia. I only use my wash fire, and I wash fire 20 degrees too high. And then I have my strength around my coping, and I don't have chipping with my zirconia. But you have to make sure, if you fire zirconia and you have big structures, an implant structure with lots of zirconia material, you have to lower down your raising temperature. If the manual says you can raise 55 degrees a minute for zirconia, in general, but if you have too much zirconia, you have to lower down your raising temperature. I even go until 30 degrees. If I have a full arch implant structure, I will go to 30 degrees a minute for raising temperature. In even holding time, I will I will make that a little bit longer, and I will take it even sometimes until 2 minutes holding time. And the raising temperature time and the cooling down phase should be similar.
Yeah.
Because the manual says after firing, you can open the furnace immediately. Most of the time you can do that, but you can't do that with lots of material with zirconia, lots of material with cobalt chrome, and lots of material of titanium.
Yeah.
For the same reason, those materials don't take the heat easily. And if they don't take the heat easily, they don't give the heat easily away. So the time rising and cooling down should be almost the same.
Right.
That's a big issue for chipping.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And going back to the plunger story, we've had a few people, mentioning that they've got fractures or cracks on the button itself, but that's using an aluminium oxide plunger because it pulls the heat through.
No,
so
throw it away.
Yeah. Okay.
When you have an argument with your partner, just throw it, and then that's the only time you could use that.
Yeah. Guys, are there any other questions that that you would like to ask Bob while he's here? Nothing coming through.
Was it okay for everybody? Do you have any comments?
Absolutely. Great comments. John Maloney, great job, Bob. It was definitely you. Thanks so much, Brian and Mike, for hosting. Thanks to all for joining. Best wishes from GC UK. Another comment. Very informative, Bob. Appreciate your time and sharing your experience. We are getting very valuable information here, so thank you very much. Brilliant. Enjoyed it.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
So very good feedback. Very good feedback.
Thank you.
I think, there, awesome presentation. Thanks, guys. And I think it was down to you, Bob, for being really down to earth. And,
that's a team effort. We did it with the four of us. You guys and Celeste, we prepared this, and it's a team effort. It's just my funny face that was constantly there. But, that's your problem, not mine. But it's a team effort. So I would like to thank everybody that was around today, and also for next week, guys, the webinar about Gradia Plus. Don't think in composite, okay? It's not a composite. It's a hybrid ceramic, and it can make your implant jobs so much easy. So please, if you only have one doubt of trying to do works with Gradia Plus, please make sure that we see each other again next week. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be sending out the link is already on Facebook pages. So go and have a look at the Wright Milner's Dental Lab Division Facebook page, as well as the Dentasa group Facebook page. I'll put it out there, but I'll also send it out via WhatsApp again and emails to all the labs.
Perfect.
So those technicians, lab owners that get the mails, please share them with your staff, your technicians. If you've got employing technicians, let them know about them, about the webinars, and they can also, they're more than welcome to join.
No, okay. Then I only have to do one more thing. Brian asked me to show this again every time for another ginger beer.
Yes, pleasure.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was really an honor to do this, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope we can see each other next week. And I wish you a very nice. Here it's a summer evening, but in South Africa it's a little bit more winter. So thank you so much, and we will see each other again next week. Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks from us, Bob. Thanks from Wright Milner's as well to Mike and Bob.
Thank you.
It was great having you. Certificates will be sent out, and we'll also send out some specials with the certificates. I can just quickly run through those if you don't mind. Sorry, I've got to do a bit of sales work here. We're going to have some specials on the GC products. The ceramic bottles, you buy 3, you get a 4th bottle free. The ingots, buy 3 sleeves of ingots, and you get the 4th one free, or you buy 5 and get 2 free. Then luster paste, same story, buy 3 jars of luster paste, you get the 4th one free. So chat to Henry, myself, Arlene, but we'll also send out those specials when we send out the certificates. Once again, thanks to Bob and Mike, wishing you guys all, and all our delegates, wishing you all a very pleasant evening further. Thank you very much.
Well done, guys.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.